You wanna do Candyland or something?
I'm probably gonna lose. But we shall lose with class. I may lose, but my goal is to get one of you guys with a shell.
Oh, get out of here.
Hey,
get out of here.
who's Luigi?
I am. Get out of here, honey. Because he's a cheater.
He's cheating.
He's a cheater.
He's omitting the facts. That was epic. That's what I've always wanted to do.
Oh,
come on.
There is no friendship here.
Hey.
There are no friendships. You're right. I have one more.
No! I need this. Now 7th place.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How did this happen? I knew this was gonna happen. No, it's gonna happen again.
Ooh,
No.
6. Oh, look, you got everything. Get it, Priscilla. Get it. Oh,
The
get
second
it.
one
Yeah.
never works out for me. We're tied.
Poppy was 6th place.
Just trying to be a good sport here, you know.
Whatever. I know.
Poppy was
You're a
6th
cheater. That's what you are.
place.
You're a cheater.
You already know this game.
He practices a lot.
He's a cheater over
I
here.
was trying to get her to go through springs.
You were like, push the button now.
Bethany,
Is
are
that
you
the
trying to
secret?
get on the
Is
camera?
that the secret? You have to have those things?
No.
No, this is harder.
Bethany, what are you doing? It's for the
My goal is
team.
improvement, okay? So I was 11th last time. If I'm in 10th, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to do any tricks. I'm just, gonna keep it simple.
Wow, this is pretty intense right here. The
Yes,
milk
it's
stuff.
fun.
It's a record route.
Hey,
Yeah,
That's
what's
it.
it called?
Yeah.
What are they called?
Candy
Like
Crush?
Candy
Candy Rush?
Candy Sugar Rush?
Sugar Rush.
Not that I would know. Never seen that.
Girls, stop.
Are you okay, Poopie?
I told you like 16,
Child
17
fell.
times.
Child fell.
Look at Bethany. She wants to be this.
Bethany, who do you think is gonna win, honey? Mommy
Okay.
or Daddy?
Mommy,
As long as I
Poppy.
beat Felice Said, I will be satisfied.
Wait,
with
why is
life.
my guy not shooting? Oh wait.
And you have a girl. you have a-
Hey!
Can we do it?
Yay.
You were fast, whoever that was.
What is this megaphone?
Oh, blue shell. Who's in first?
Whoa!
Not me, go.
Hello.
I blew myself up.
Good job, buddy.
Who's in first?
No, stop.
Ah! I can't see!
I can't find the dad.
Bye, buddy!
I'm gonna catch up.
Oh no! What do these dumb coins do? I don't need coins. Ah! Who?
Not me.
Man!
What just happened? I have no
shell.
idea what just happened.
Blue shell.
Ah! Woo!
I
I
was
was
seeing
so
something
close!
chocolate.
I was so close! Come on!
Wait,
Come
wait.
on, Yoshi!
Can you guys
Come
stop
on!
doing- Who inked on me?
I'm coming for you, Priscilla.
Oh no! Come on! Give me a chance, man!
I'm coming for you.
Give me a chance! Pick on somebody
CJ,
your own
what's the
size,
secret
okay?
chocolate
Yoshi!
That's really easy for anybody that's the same size. Priscilla, Priscilla, stop it.
Oh!
Get out of here!
Who did that?
Some computer.
I hate that. I
the
hate
computer.
Who's in first, Luigi?
I am in first.
Oh,
No!
that's not gonna happen.
No!
Oh!
No! Stop it! This is ridiculous! This is ridiculous!
No!
Oh! It had to be. Why did it have to be the blue shell?
At the last
Last place!
Oh!
You're scared?
Sorry, Cynthia.
Sorry, Cynthia.
She's like, stop yelling.
Hello.
You wanna watch mommy?
Please stop. Wow.
The kids are like, this is too intense.
Please stop.
Okay.
Last
All
one.
right.
Last one. Here
All
we go.
right. Great. I already know I'm gonna lose.
Okay, here we go.
I just need giant rocks.
See that when the princess
Pupa,
in the
no
top
more.
corner? That's mommy.
Watch. Here we go.
I'm about to beat Poppy right now.
Yeah.
Think who's gonna win, mommy or Poppy? Oh, I just.
Boom!
I feel like I always get a good start,
Probably your car.
and then I get picked on.
Anybody
Get away
that.
from me. Get away from me.
Hey, when I was first last time, somebody like destroyed
Wait,
me.
hey, I saw somebody
Was that
driving
you?
on the wall.
Mommy, fourth
Is that
place!
you? You destroyed me?
Yeah.
Mommy, third place!
I wish.
The blue shell?
Hey!
Aw.
Mommy,
Whoa, that's
fifth!
cool.
Mommy, sixth place!
I'm going on the wall.
Wait.
Mommy, sixth place!
There are no alliances, correct?
No alliances.
So I can just. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we need an alliance.
Ow!
Okay, let's team up.
I'm on CJ's team.
Alright. Don't stay in front of me then. Stay behind me.
Why am I?
How is that in
Because
my
I have a
favor,
branch
though?
shell. I can clear the way for
You can
us.
fall off the
Oh,
track.
okay.
You guys are so cheaters. That's what you are. Cheaters never prosper.
Bye,
Whatever.
See, I cleared
Goodbye,
it
stop
behind
it.
you. See?
That's
Hey.
oh! Stop being
That was my
nice.
fault.
Stop being
That was my fault.
Priscilla!
Come on.
Great.
Come on,
Now
come
I'm
on.
in 10th place.
Okay, I'll drop back just a
Forget it.
No, I'll drop back.
Voted off the island.
Where are you? You said you're 9th?
I'm not your friend
Oh,
anymore.
I fell in the water. Oh, there's.
Water, water, go,
Clearing the way.
Mary, go!
See? We're clearing the way for you. We're in 6
Hey,
and
no
7.
teaming up here.
Priscilla, talk!
Hello!
Anthony, put your hands down!
Hello! Whoa!
Wait, why did how did this go up? I'm so confused.
Poopa,
I fell.
what?
Last lap.
See what I did for you? I let you get to 4th place.
No,
No, I'm not in your
11th
team
place
anymore.
now.
You hit me with the shell.
Right in front of me.
Whoa!
See his trick? I'm gonna help you, just don't get in front of me. So
Yeah, I know. I was
so
like,
so I
whatever.
can win, you
How
know?
is this?
I literally said not to get in front of me. She still got in front of me.
Down, down.
Oh, Puppy going
Oh,
the
come
right
on.
way! Mom, Puppy go really, really fast!
I'm trying to, but you know, some people are just trying to get me. When you're a winner, you know, everybody just hates you.
Mommy, this door the right way up!
Oh, goodness gracious.
Ah!
This game frustrates me so much.
I got first place.
Yes! Second! Yes! Yes!
In your face. In your face.
Sorry, buddy,
I
you
was
got
trying
10.
to
I'm
help
happy
her.
That's what you get.
See, your
for hitting
alliance
me with
didn't
the
work.
shell.
Your alliance didn't
No,
work.
that's how the
anyways.
alliance works. First, you're like,
What?
we're on the same team. And
Yoshi,
then,
how did you get 39 points?
I mean,
She almost caught up to me, too.
hey.
Look at that.
One
Then I was
day.
37.
39!
He lost.
Don't. Sorry, me. Hey, I'm sorry.
My turn?
Excuse me. Hey, excuse.
I'm
My
gonna beat you
turn.
this time.
This time?
No, that was the last
That's the
race.
last race.
Oh wait, really?
That was it.
So
That was
cool.
fun.
So first, second,
I got
third,
fourth.
Fourth.
I just want to say I'm so happy I beat you. Oh man.
I'm glad you're happy.
Wow, I have arrived.
We'll see what next week's game is. Hope you enjoyed it. Teens, welcome again. It's super, yeah,
Welcome
ready?
back.
Everybody? Yeah,
Welcome back to our
Yeah.
channel.
Hey.
Happy day 300 and something of quarantine.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What day is it today?
Today's supposed to be May 24th, which means next week we go to church.
Yay, we're so
Yes.
excited. Bring your mask.
Yeah, bring your mask. Only Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Bring your family. That'd be fine
Yes.
too. But it's going to be great. It's going to be a good time at church May 31st in the morning. Hope you can make it. I hope you're as excited as we are to come back to church.
Amen.
Yay.
Yeah.
Finally.
Just know it's gonna be a little bit different because everybody's gonna be
Yeah.
apart. You don't be able to hug people. You'll have masks. You'll be like, but
Are we gonna wear masks on the stage? Like,
that's still a question up on the.
well, orchestra.
Yeah.
How are you gonna play the trumpet
With plexiglass.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a way. Where there's a will, there is a way.
We'll be
So
taking your temperature too if you want
Ooh.
to.
at the door?
it's
Yeah.
like a mini doctor's
really-
visit.
Yeah.
Just think about it that way. Free doctor's visit.
Amen.
Nurse check.
Temperature
Nurse
check.
check.
Damn.
Nurse check.
Nurse check sounds
check-in.
better. Health check.
Health check.
Okay,
Health
I'm
check.
There we go.
confused.
Okay, here
All
we go.
right.
All right.
Okay.
Teens, if you're ready, go to Ephesians 6, 5 through 9. Ephesians 6, 5 through 9. We are on the series of God's will. No, the future. The future. Last week we talked about God's will and how to know if you're in God's will or what some errors about it. This week we're going to talk about a job because we're talking about your future, and I hope you are all expecting to have a job soon. I hope you're not one of those teens that says, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let the
Or
government.
they're going to be a
pay
YouTuber.
for some
Streamers.
I'm going to be a streamer.
Yeah.
I'm going to play video games all day. Yay. No. Have
Unless
a
they
job.
have 1 million subscribers, then
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Like my brother.
If it's God's will.
Only if it's God's
If
will.
it's God's will, you can do it. But before you get there, you need a job. So,
Right.
your job. We're going to talk about it. Ephesians 6, 5 through 9 gives us a little bit overview of our job. But before we start with actual Bible, what was your first job there, Brother CJ?
The job I first had
Your first job.
was miserable.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah. I worked at Michael's. Am I allowed to say the name? Is that copyright infringement?
No, you can say the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Michael's Distribution Center.
Nice. How old were you?
I was 18. Like, as soon as I graduated high school, that September, I got a job.
Good. Wow.
Yeah.
What made it so horrible?
He's going to expose.
All right, it's just-
Michelle, what was your first job?
Okay, well, my first job. Well, I was telling you guys that like I didn't have many jobs growing up, but I just kept the same job. I tend to be a stable person.
Good.
I like staying in the same place for a long time, apparently.
Yeah.
So
30
the
years or
first
more,
job I had, I did get hired. I think I was 18 going on 19 or something, but it was with a company called ART, Autism Response Team. And the reason why I got hired there was because I didn't have experience. It was my first job, right? And obviously I was praying. I was in Bible college already, and I needed to make my first payment. So I was like really stressed out about that. And so I was praying for a long time for the Lord to provide. Our country was in like this whole recession thing. It was hard for me to find a job because every time I would go apply, people would be like, honey, are you 18 years old? And I'm like, I look like I'm 15, but I'm not.
yeah.
Trust
I
me,
still
this
get
is...
that.
Yeah. With your beard and everything?
Yeah, I know, right?
What?
Oh
Anyways.
no. Okay. Well, anyway, so I went into this interview with like all these like nurses and like people that like were somebody and I was a nobody, you know?
Professionals.
Yeah, I go into the interview and I was like so scared because I was intimidated because there was like all these older people and I'm here like an 18-year-old and the only experience I had was changing diapers in the nursery. You know, but I didn't make it sound like that. I was like, oh, yeah, you know, like we teach kids and we give them snacks and we keep them all organized and everything. And so anyway, because I put that on my resume, I guess maybe that stood out a little bit to them, which, you know, note to self, you're looking for a job, like start serving at church because you can put that on your
That's
resume.
experience.
You
That's
can put that
experience.
on your resume.
Agreed.
So anyway, so I did get hired there. I ended up working there all through college. So that job technically got me through college. And after that, I started this job. Yeah. So yeah. So if you don't know what like, do you want to know what specifically I did?
Yeah.
Like I taught. It sounds cool, but it's really not that cool. But technically, you're like supposed to like teach these children how to like behavioral, like you deal with their behavioral issues. But really, I was teaching them how to be like self-sufficient type of thing. Like I would go teach them how to brush their teeth or like how to tie their shoes or cross the street. So it was a lot of fun. And
That's pretty
sometimes
cool.
I would even like take my video games as like if they did a good job, we would play video games after.
That's
So it
cool.
was
Perfect
a really
job for you.
it
You
was
love
a
to help
really
people,
cool job.
So,
yeah.
perfect job for Priscilla.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
liked that job. I mean, every job has its pros and cons, but I did enjoy it.
Like getting spit in the face.
Yeah, or getting bit. I only
Yeah.
got bit one time, but
Oh, that's okay.
it was okay.
Anyways,
Have you gotten
She
bit
had
at your
she got her
current
shots.
job?
well,
emotionally maybe.
emotionally
but
maybe.
Physically no. Ms. Rachel, what was your first job?
I was a waitress at a seafood restaurant.
Can you tell them a story about that old lady?
What?
You're like, what?
I don't know what story.
Oh, did you know where? Was that you?
Really? You want me to tell that story? Yes, I was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
We
this
wanna
is my
hear it
first
now.
job. I was a
This is great.
really
This is great.
What was the name of the seafood place?
Dixie Queen.
Okay.
Dixie.
I don't know
yeah,
why I
Dixie
thought
Queen.
bubblegum for some reason.
No, it was in North Carolina. It's like this like mom and pop restaurant, but everybody in the area like they drive like an hour just to eat there. I don't know. But the funny part was at the time I'd never eaten seafood before because I didn't grow up eating seafood. So they're like, "What's good?" I'm like,
Everything.
"They always order that one." I don't know. But so I guess you want me. So I was,
Yes.
waiting at the table. Do I really have to tell a story? It's kind of inappropriate. Don't you?
Now we want to hear it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
this
okay.
It started.
So I was.
This is great. Yes,
like I'm
do
turning
it.
red.
You
There
look
was
great.
a sweet little old lady who was like, I was ordering. She was like patting my behind, like, "You're
great.
so sweet," or something like that. I don't remember. But some
Did
lady
she
I
know
didn't
that?
know.
Did she think she was touching your arm or something?
No,
Or
no,
she,
no.
She wanted to intentionally
She was
touch
just
you
like
there?
encouraging me or something.
Encouraging.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like,
no.
okay. Anyways, I'm gonna go get your food now.
That's great.
But it was all. I mean, it was not inappropriate, and like it didn't feel inappropriate. It was just like some
Old lady.
sweet old
Some
lady.
old lady.
Yeah.
You know.
She was at that age where everything was acceptable.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Now
Yeah,
it
that
would
was her
be
first job.
considered, not social distancing. So
Mm.
Yeah, my first job was great. I was a janitor
Amen.
for a small office. And I was so excited, because I lived in Florida at the time. Minimum wage was $5.25 an hour. And the guy was so nice, like, "I'm going to give you $10 an hour." And I was like, "Oh, sign me up. What do I
Wow,
do?"
it's like
Wow.
double.
I know. I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I need somebody to clean toilets." I guess I'll do it for $10 an
double
hour.
that.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I
I
would
guess I'll
clean
do it.
yeah.
toilets
And
too.
then here's the kicker. And you only need to work 3 hours a week. I'm like, what? What? Anyways, but that was my first job, cleaning toilets and washing windows. And
builds character.
build a lot of character. And I figured
So
out.
you can clean our toilets at home.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Nope. There's a reason why.
it's God's will. I mean, He placed you there for a reason, right?
Yeah. And then I got in the Navy. And but anyways, that was my first job. I think I was 16. And I worked 3 hours a week for $10 an hour.
At least you only had to work 3, not 6, right? Because you got paid double. So
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, that was my first job. So, moral of the story: whatever your first job is,
We've probably been there,
Get
done
it.
that.
yeah, just get it. Here we go. Now, let's get into some good things. What are some lies about work or job that you have heard?
yeah, I was like, what?
I know. I'm kind of confused at that question.
Okay.
And I
my
told
answer was gonna be, I don't know about lies. Wait.
Are you saying like when we first start a job and someone tells you a story like, "Oh, hey, don't do this," or
More
don't-
like misconceptions about working. Like you have to get a certain, salary and then say no, and like stuff like that. Have you heard of anything about work or a job that it might be a lie? That once you started working, you're like, that was completely.
I know some people lie on their resume to get a job, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not anybody here, of course.
fake it till you make it.
No.
Okay.
So anything like that, or what were you thinking? I was trying to ask.
I don't know what you were trying to ask. I was confused about this question.
Okay,
And then I
if you're a
tried to get-
teenager, what are you believing about work or a job that is false?
Oh,
I know one that that you don't have to start at the bottom. That
I was
somehow
gonna say too, like,
that somehow because
you don't deserve
are,
this.
Yeah, because you are, a really good student, that when you apply for McDonald's, they're gonna put you as a manager right away, or that because you deserve or whatever, you're not gonna work for the minimum wage because, only slaves work for minimum wage or whatever. So that's, I think, a lie that some teenagers believe, that you don't have to start at the bottom because I'm already, something in high school.
I was gonna say too that, it's a lie that it's okay to talk bad about your boss, because that's,
Yeah.
most employees, whether they're saved or not, tend to complain about their boss, especially if you're in a secular workplace. But
Yeah.
as a Christian, we should always be respectful to those who are in authority of us. So the lie would be that it's okay to slander and disrespect your boss.
Yeah,
You shouldn't.
that's true. Well, let's go then to the question of, what did somebody tell you when you first started your job that was a lie?
That I would enjoy it.
At the warehouse.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the people who hired me lied to me. It was a great place to work. Oh, great.
Yeah.
No.
When I went into the Navy, they told me I was going to be a doctor. That's not true. But anyways, that's how they got
Stick
me.
this thermometer in that baby.
Yeah. They got me, though. They got me. I believed it.
They are great liars.
They are great liars. Those recruiters are good at their job.
Oh, man.
Anything else? No? All right, we're going through this one quick.
We're
Last week,
going
it
through it.
was long. This one's going to be super
Maybe
quick.
it's lies you tell yourself, like, I'm going to be punctual every day.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. What lie did you tell
that's
yourself?
It. You lie
That
to
was it?
yourself because you're like, I'm going to be, this is my first job. I'm going to be punctual. I'm going to be like employee of the month in like 2 months. And, life happens.
I guess I can
just
say
the
one.
lie that it's easy.
Yeah.
Everybody always
Oh,
thinks
that's-
everything's
yeah.
going to be easy. Nothing really in life that's worth it is easy. It's hard
Good.
work.
Well, I guess a lie I created for myself was no fast food restaurant would ever be good enough, sort of thing. So, like, I don't know. I mean, McDonald's makes me very upset.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how many times I tell them no pickles, they put pickles.
I mean, it's McDonald's.
I mean,
It's not Burger King, man.
I know. So it's like, just because of maybe experiences that you've had with fast food places or something like that of I guess you can say minimum wage job, you create already something in your head that you're like, I would never work at those places. But believe it or not, it's those places that people, go to because, you know what, as long as it provides for what you need, then you're just going to have to work there. If God provides you that opportunity, you need to take it. Just because it's something like
Go of
you
your
said.
pride.
Yeah, basically it's
Humble
like
yourself.
you need to humble yourself because if not, then you're just never gonna get the job you want. You're never gonna be satisfied, and you're just always gonna be looking, and then you're gonna end up a homeless YouTuber.
Hey, there are.
They are homeless YouTubers. That's
Hey,
crazy.
but I mean,
So-
they can make McDonald's great. They can be the one to change.
Yes,
and
Correct.
remember
definitely.
that there's no pickles in the order.
Yeah, that's true.
Plenty of teens work at McDonald's and rise up the
Yeah,
ladder.
yeah,
become
of course.
big managers, stuff like that.
I mean, this has nothing
You
to
don't have
do.
to stay very long in McDonald's because
This isn't sponsored by McDonald's, by the way.
Yeah,
But the truth is, if you're in McDonald's and you stay at one McDonald's, you are going to be promoted quickly because it seems like every McDonald's I've been to, there's new people all the time.
every day it's a new person.
I've never been to this McDonald's here on J and 20th in the drive-thru to find the same person. And I live right by
you
there.
must go often.
I mean, once every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks maybe. But I'm like, I never
'Cause I
see the
asked, "Can
same
you give me a Diet
person.
Coke on the way home?"
Yeah, my wife, she likes Diet Cokes and it's $1 at McDonald's, so that's where we go. But anyways, I never see the same person. So if you just stay there, you might, you're gonna be needed.
Listen, if you're going to McDonald's, you're just hoping they're not spitting your burger.
Oh, goodness.
You get through that, then it's a success.
Yeah. Anyway. So I think out of now that we understand the question, the biggest lie that we all feel that teenagers believe is that
It's beneath us.
is beneath. I mean, I had to clean toilets. I know it was for double minimum wage, but still.
You have to start somewhere.
Definitely.
The good thing, this is how the story goes. I started cleaning toilets for 3 hours a week, and it cost me 25 minutes of travel time in a van. So it was like,
In a van.
yeah, so like I would get $10. I would have to go 3 times a week. So every day it was an hour. And I would go and I would waste like $5 or $3 on gas to get there every time. But let's say, I don't remember, like if it was 2 months or 3 months, whatever. The guy next door to the office, it was a dentist office. And my boss said, hey, he only works 3 hours a week. He can go over and work for you. So the other guy, the dentist office, paid me the same amount to file all their non-filed paperwork for 3 hours a week. So I essentially doubled my thing, but because I stayed cleaning toilets. I mean, the only reason I stayed really was because I wanted to pay for my own cell phone because my parents wouldn't pay for it. So I was like,
Prepaid.
these $30 are important to me. So I stayed because of my cell phone. But because I stayed, now I got a job next door to the person. And then when I started working at another job, I left that job to my brother because I did such a good job filing. Woo-hoo. But I did a good job filing. I was able to leave that job to my brother, and my brother then started working too. So like, yeah, the beginning was awful, but slowly but surely it got better because I just did something and I did it well. I think I did it well, but you know.
You clean those toilets.
I cleaned those
really
toilets.
good.
I cleaned those toilets. But anyways, next question. Now let's say you have a job. How should a Christian be at his job? And that's why we have Ephesians 6, 5, and 5 through 9. How should a Christian be at his job? Who wants to start?
So,
Whoa.
I've been tagged.
Are you going to skip?
Do you want to skip? I'll go.
I'll
Okay.
skip.
I guess I can
Yeah.
go first.
I have
Yeah,
a
but they say
skip.
You have a skip, yes.
She says first.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's tough. I mean, when you're first starting off a job, I guess there was no. Oh, I'm gonna say me. When I didn't have any idea. This is my first job. I mean, I've cut grass with some brothers here at church, but even they didn't want me because I was just bad.
Lazy?
I was bad.
Yeah, I get it.
I would say lazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say lazy. Like I'd cut one house and then we go to I'm like, there's another house we need to cut. I thought that was it. And turns out there was 8 hours of it.
Yes.
Like 10
That's-
houses a day, 10, 12 houses. I was like, no. So, but I mean, oh goodness. My dad always gave me advice. First of all, I think one thing we need to remember is who we are. We're saved. We're Christians. And first and foremost, we represent God no matter where we go. Our testimony is important. So when you're starting a job, your number one priority is to always to please God, no matter what you do. And I think that's important. And in doing that, I mean, God's going to bless you throughout your work. Even while you're working there, you'll be blessed for sure. I mean, they're gonna see how hard of a worker you are. Obviously, they're gonna notice something different because once we represent God, there's always a difference. There will come a time where people ask you, "It's like, hey, why are you this, and this, right?" And then people are gonna know. And every job I've worked at, people will know eventually. They're like, "Hey, you know what? Do you go to church or something? Or, something's different about you, blah blah blah." They're gonna notice. And at that point, that's why it's important for you to always maintain your testimony, which is, even thinking about you doing your best ability to clean those toilets, you still left a good impression. That's a good testimony, which opened up the doors for your brother to take later. You never know if you're going to be opening up a door opportunity for maybe a sibling or a friend that might be in need of a job as well, which is why it's important that, testimony is crucial when getting a job.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife, my lovely bride, do you want to go?
The question was,
How
I'm
should
sorry,
a Christian be at his job?
well, we should always do everything as unto the Lord. And the Bible also says that a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. So you always want to have a good testimony, a great name, and a good testimony for the Lord. And something I noticed, especially in college, is people just are not aware of the fact that people are watching them. So I would know other college students who maybe didn't take their job or their classes seriously. But I would go in the afternoon after classes. I would go into the offices, and I would hear Pastor Chapel or whatever staff member talking to another staff member. Do you know of any students who basically have a good reputation or have good character? And I think to myself, these college students do not understand. Like, people are watching. They have a name, whether or not you intend it. You have a name for yourself. Are you a person of character or not? So one, you want a good name, and two, also remember that you represent the Lord in everything that you do. So you should always strive to be a wonderful testimony for the Lord. So I would just say do your very best. Like I'm always telling our daughter Bethany, she's in kindergarten, and she's a little bit. She's lazy. She's
Listen,
just
she
lazy.
has a tough life. If we're gonna be this tough on her when she's 5, I just wonder when she's 12 how tough we're gonna be with her. Cause
Well, our daughter, she's very smart. She's just lazy, and she hates to do her penmanship. But she also like loves to get A's, and she loves to win at everything. She hates to lose. But I'm always telling her, Bethany, I don't care if you get an F on your paper, as long as you did your best. Because I always can tell that she didn't do her best on her penmanship, because I've seen her do very good penmanship papers. I'm like, you didn't do your best. I don't care if you get A's or F's. It's not the point. The point is, I know you didn't do your best. You need to do your best for the Lord. So do the best for the Lord and have a good name.
That's good parenting.
yeah, it's good parenting. I know it's tough, but she needs to
Wish
grow
my
up.
parents were more like that. It was like one B, and it's like, oh, what about this B?
Yeah. Oh,
I did my best.
yeah. They're like, nah.
I don't think my parents
Your
ever
best
saw
is all
me.
you can do.
Never saw a B?
No.
That's good. C's or D's, right?
No, probably.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you, man.
I'm just kidding.
All right, here we go. So this is where the Bible, this passage comes into play. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Christ. Not with eye service as men pleasers, but the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good will doing service as to the Lord, and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. Brother CJ and my wife already talked about it. You have to do everything as unto the Lord, like what you're doing is to God. So we're going to skip all that stuff. But if you notice, every time we read it, it was like 3 or 4 times it says, as unto the Lord, as unto Christ, from the heart, the will of God, right? God wants you to do this job, not because he wants you to make money, but he wants you to represent him at the job place. So what Brother CJ, what my wife said, is the most important. Number one, think about it. You have to do it for God, not for the boss, not for the company, not for yourself, but for God. Now, when you're in there, how do you represent God well? First, it says be obedient. If you don't take anything else, take this word, obey. It's really easy to disobey your boss. It's really easy. You'll see everybody else do it. You'll see everybody give excuses. Why didn't this get done? Oh, because the forklift didn't work. Oh, because we didn't have this thing. Oh, because somebody left. Oh, because whatever it is. You're always going to have an excuse for why the thing that you got told to do did not get done. So if you don't get anything else, what do you do as a Christian when you're in your job? You obey. So what does obeying mean? Whatever the boss said, if maybe your supervisor, maybe your lead, and maybe your manager, maybe the owner of the place, whatever he says, do it. Finish it. There is no excuse for not finishing. That's the easiest way, or the best way to remember, how do I represent God well in my job? Do it. Do it. Then, once you got that down, the thing says here, with fear and trembling and singleness of your heart as unto Christ. Once you obey your masters, then what you want to do is make sure it comes from the right heart. I am doing this correctly. You don't ever want to do something and have the bad attitude with your boss. The two things that help you get promoted the most in any job is attitude and competency, which competency means, did you do a good job, yes or no? If you have a good competency but you have a bad attitude, you may not get promoted. If you have a good attitude but you have bad competency, you may not get promoted. But if you have both of those, you will get promoted. You will get moved up the chain, and that's what we want. I have this belief that Christians should be supervisors and managers more than anybody else. I experienced it in the military when I was working for the government, right? I found it surprising how fast it was for me to gain rank compared to everybody else. And the more I was in the military, the more I realized that everybody else made excuses for not obeying, and everybody else hated what they were doing. So nobody was promoting them at all. To me, it was like, well, this is normal. What you do, you obey your authorities, and then you do it with a good attitude. My mom taught me that when I was 5, right? And that helped me get promoted quickly in the military. But it's not just the military. Anywhere, any job that you have, you do what you're told, you do it with a good attitude, and then poof, you're like automatically the best.
Probably won't have much competition, honestly.
You don't. I think you told me, like, you are getting a lead job, and you only started, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
About a month.
About a month, right?
Month and a half.
But it has nothing to do with, not to say that you're not competent, but it has to do with how smart Brother CJ is.
Which I'm very smart, guys.
He is. He's very smart. C's and D's all the time. Never anything
Consistency
lower.
is key.
Consistency.
Consistency is key. But what I'm saying is, I think Christians should be the ones getting promoted all the time. It should be a difference right away. If you ever feel like, man, why am I not getting promoted at my job? Why not getting a raise?
Probably because you're lazy.
Because you are lazy. You're not obeying. You're finding excuses. You're finding something else to do. And then you have a bad attitude about it. You know, I can't believe I had to do this. This is a blah, 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 blah. And then you talk bad about the boss to your friends. Then your friends tell, yeah, he's an idiot. Ha, ha, ha. And then you feel like maybe I shouldn't obey him because everybody thinks he's an idiot. So maybe I should just not do my best. And then it's a downward spiral. So
Or sometimes they think that they have an excuse because they were treated unfairly
correct.
or something.
Yeah, and listen, at verse 8 here it says, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. You want good things from the Lord, you better do good things to your boss, even if he mistreats you. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what the verse says. Whatsoever thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord. So you want bad things from the Lord? Just be bad. You want good things from the Lord? Be good. Why? Because God will reward us on how we act and behave and how we represent Him in our work.
I guess I have a question or
Go.
statement
Yep.
in regards to the first 2 points.
Sure.
I mean, yes, we're supposed to. I agree 100%. Obviously, we need to respect, our bosses. I mean, it's in the Bible. Respect all authority, right? And in that case,
Right.
we're placed in a position where we need to obey our boss. He's our authority figure at our workplace. Now, in regards to that, because of experience, I don't know if you might have experienced that in the Navy.
Probably.
Sometimes your boss might ask you to do something that's not right. Maybe even go against your morality in regards to, what you believe in the Bible and what you believe is right morally to you. Now, how would you go about that in disobeying your boss and obeying God instead?
I thank you for bringing that question because I didn't think about putting that in here, but that's very prevalent. I think everybody, every job has that guy that wants to get ahead without doing it right. That wants to skew the system or just put that we spent 10,000 so we can have 10,000 next year instead of, we only spent 8,000, right? So this is what you do. Your loyalty is not to the boss, your supervisor, your lead, your manager. Your loyalty is always to God because you're in that job representing God, not your boss. When your boss tells you to do something like fraud, and if you don't know what that means, teens, fraud is when you lie in order to get more money. Right? So you do something in order to get more money. That's fraud. If you're wasteful, if you're abusing the system, whatever it is, if that ever happens, you have to keep your Christian testimony in whatever process your place of work has to go about reporting this or not following through with this, then that's how you do it. For example, in the Navy, you're not allowed to order your subordinates to do personal favors for you. So I could never tell somebody that was working for me, hey, fill up my car with gas. right? That was not allowed. But if something ever did happen, then that person would have the right to say, no, I can't. And then we would obviously have the process of going through that. Hey, this is what happened. I told him no, and then he's going to punish me for not doing this, et cetera, et cetera. But everybody has that. So I guess I answered the question. First, to the Lord. If something bad is happening, something fraudulent is happening, then you always are doing it for the Lord, so you can't really sin for the Lord. Right? So you have to follow the processes of your job and then report that.
I would say also stand up for the truth or whatever is right. Do the right thing, but also do it respectfully. You can be respectful about it. You can
Correct.
say, I'm a Christian. I don't believe in doing in lying and not telling the truth. So I don't mean disrespect, but I cannot do that because it goes against my
Yeah, and a
morals.
lot of people are going to laugh at you. They're going to try to threaten you. They're going to try to convince you that what you're doing is wrong and it's affecting everybody.
That's okay.
And then the only thing you have to believe is, no, I'm doing this because I'm a child of God, not because you're my boss. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're going to find pushback on stuff like that all the time. But that's okay because you're supposed to follow God.
Has Pastor Collins ever asked you to do something you're not supposed to?
Ooh.
Maybe
No.
fill up the
Kidding,
car with
Pastor
gas
Collins.
once.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
once.
but actually-
But I'm not in the military, so I can do that all the time. It's fine. I can follow that. Anyways, so anybody want to add anything else to this? How the Christian should act in the job? It's pretty. No.
I agree
Skip.
with everything.
Now, I used to work at a hospital too, in the kitchen of a hospital. There was a storage room where they would keep like the extra food and stuff, like not Pediasures because those are for like children, but for older people, like the nutrient bottles. Whatever, I don't know.
Sure.
What's it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
The little smoothies that have all the
Sure, yeah, yeah.
calories in them, or Jello, whatever. I can't remember. Milk, all in the storage closet. And I remember my coworker would always, when we were in there, she would always just snack on stuff and drink stuff or whatever. Like it was no big deal, but I never could bring myself to because you can talk yourself into it,
Yeah,
your
of course
coworker's
not.
like, what's the big deal? They're gonna throw it away anyways, whatever. But just something, because I guess my whole life I've just been trained in the Word of God. I'm like, that does not belong to me. Even if they are going to throw it away, I cannot. I've never been a rule breaker anyways, but I'm like, I can't steal. It's not mine. So, to my coworker, it was no big deal to eat or drink something that wasn't hers.
Yeah, you'll find that in the workplace all the time. I'll take a stapler. I'll take piece of paper. I'll print this.
I deserve it. Whatever.
I
the
deserve it.
excuses,
They haven't paid me for my bonus.
And they'll test you to see how far you'll go with your boundaries and stuff. So.
Correct. That's true.
Can I just share a verse?
Yeah, go ahead. I love verses.
Colossians 3:23. It says, "And whatsoever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not unto men." I think in any job we should always give 100%. Doesn't matter how much you hate it, how much you might not like it. I'll be honest, my first job, I was there for 4 years, and I did not like it. But in working hard, God rewards you for that as well, because you're honoring that. I mean, you're honoring your authority, you're honoring what, I guess you can say, regulations what the work has for you. You're respecting all of that, and in which case you're respecting God because of your testimony as well. So you want to always give 100%. First of all, if you don't, you're showing that, number one, you're ungrateful for the job God gave you, because God provided that opportunity, gave you that job. And if you're showing that you're ungrateful, I mean, God can take that away, away from you instantly, and then now you're left with no job. So, I mean, always be grateful, always work 100% no matter what. I think that's how God blesses you, when he sees the hard work.
Amen. All right, so here's a good question. Can you give some advice to a teen in order to find a job?
Well, can I ask one question too?
Oh, sure.
Can you touch on the subject of when they make a teen, when you get a first job, because obviously you really want a job, right? But what are some things, like, for instance, them making you work Sundays? Is that like a deal breaker for a job, do you think?
Oh, I think yes, for a teenager, yes, for sure. I think there's a couple things that I would never say. Like, I would never work for, minimum wage. I would never work for a food restaurant. I would never do X. There's some things they're ridiculous. But one thing that you should always do as a teenager is, I will never work on Sundays.
And God will give you a job.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Listen, let's be honest, nobody needs a teenager on Sunday. What do you need a teenager? You're fine,
The
realistically.
pickles will be in the cheeseburger
yeah, they're
anyway.
fine.
And if they don't get their pickles,
They're
they
fine.
will survive.
Yeah, nobody needs a teenager. Right now, the only thing you want to do in your first job is just know how to work, get experience, right? You do not want to mess up your spiritual life because you have a job, right? Your first job, never ever say, I can work Sundays. You just have to start with that. If you begin like this, I will never work Sundays, and they see you work well the rest of the week, you're still going to have a job. They will give you that Sunday to keep you. When you become invaluable, you can have your way sometimes. So don't ever give yourself away to a Sunday, especially when you're a teenager.
Can I elaborate on that a
Yes.
little bit? I knew someone who went to college who was hired initially and said, I wasn't going to work Sundays. They scheduled him on a Sunday. He told them, I told you guys I wasn't going to work Sundays. So they did let him go. And then because you said he had that good reputation, they called him back.
Yeah.
Like a week later, they
Yeah.
called him back to work.
Yeah.
So
Listen, a lot of jobs have like pay and a half on Sunday, or all this other stuff on Sunday to get you to work Sundays, because Sundays nobody really wants to work Sundays. But once you do a good job Monday through Saturday, they'll feel you not being there, and they'll say, you know what? Yeah, we can let him go on that Sunday. But you do not want to have the excuse, I have a job, therefore I can't come to church. That's not something you ever want to say.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in regards to at least the first job, right?
Correct,
I
the first job.
Yes, I mean, stand for what you believe in. No Sundays, maybe even Wednesdays. I don't know how you feel about Wednesdays. I've always asked for Wednesdays too.
It's a case by case basis.
Case by case, okay. Also, I mean, don't be scared. I mean, let's say you get a really good first job. They're willing to pay you
Twice minimum wage.
twice minimum wage, exactly. But you have to work on a Sunday. He was like, well, I'm not gonna find another job that's gonna pay me, let's say, $20 an hour. I mean, at 18 years old, I mean, that's kind of hard. It's like, I'm gonna have to say yes, and maybe hopefully they give me a Sunday off here and there. No, it's never choose money over God. Don't choose anything over God. This is basically what it is. Don't be scared, because in honoring God, the Sundays, honoring God, the days that is supposed to be dedicated to Him, even though you might have to say no and they might not even call you back for that job, God will open the doors to the job that is specifically placed for you, that will allow you to be off on the days that you need to be and be able to serve God and serve the Lord and everything.
Here's my story. I came to college here. I decided to, be in the ministry. I got called. I decided I'm going to do it. And I started looking for a job because my savings were running out, right? So I went to apply a bunch of places. And because I have the military experience, everybody called, right? Oh, you're experienced? Oh, great. So Radio Shack was the first one that called me. And I went to the interview, and I get the interview, and they're like, we are very busy on Saturdays and Sundays, and are you available? I know that you put on here on the application that you can't work Sundays. I said, nah, I can't work Sundays. Can't work Sundays. So they didn't call me back for the job. Well, a year later, Radio Shack runs out of business.
I was about to say, when they were still around.
Yeah, so I was like, they're bankrupt. They're not in business anymore. So I'm like, I'm glad I didn't stay there, because I would have lost my job anyways.
Yeah.
And I would have lost the whole
Always
year.
another job.
Yeah,
It
there's
might
always
feel
another
like there's
job.
they're more, this is the job. There's always work.
There's always another job. So, quickly, rapid fire. Give some advice to teens to find their first job.
Is it okay to lie?
No?
Is it okay? Yeah. Well, okay. So the best advice I can give, I guess, in finding your first job, pray. Allow God to. I mean, you're gonna have interest. I mean, we all have something we're interested in. When I first applied, I was just wanting to get a job. I was like, I don't care what it is. I just need a job because I need to pay for college, right? It wasn't the job I wanted. It wasn't the job I was expecting, believe it or not. And it's funny because me and my dad was going to apply. I don't know why he was applying. I think it was just fun for him to be taking me out. So he's like, I'm going to apply with you. So he got a call to work. I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to work with my dad.
Aren't you both like Charles? You could have just shown up, you know?
No, they're both Jacobs.
Oh, both Jacobs. Okay.
So, I mean, I thought that was funny. But I think persistence, I mean, now that everything's technological, I mean, everything, you have to fill out application online and wait for them to call you and stuff. Like, if you're really persistent, almost annoy them, basically. I mean, you want to call, you want to show that you want that job. That's one way of them saying, okay, this person's bugging me. They really want this. I'll look into it or something like that.
I said one. You gave us two, but thank you.
What? For what?
You said prayer and persistence.
So I need a third P?
No, I just said
You
one.
just said one. You went above and
You
beyond.
went above and beyond. You went the second mile.
Thank you. See, I'm smart, you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Is that a B? That's at least a B.
Yeah, that's a big
CJ can
B.
take my one.
A for effort.
All right, my wife, what do you have?
I would say a lot of times it's who you know, not what you know, honestly. Apply as much as you can anywhere and everywhere. If you're having a hard time, get a job, but ask around. Somebody knows somebody that needs somebody to work. And a lot of times, if you know somebody, you'll get it. It doesn't matter what your experience is. If you know somebody who knows somebody, they'll get you in. Versus, if not, then you're just an application. You're just a name on a paper, you know? So I would say ask around.
It's called, networking.
That.
Yeah.
And also, too, Ken Coleman, he's a Dave Ramsey personality. And his whole life is dedicated to teaching you how to find the job you love. But he has wonderful tips. You can follow him, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Ken Coleman, Dave Ramsey personality. If you're really interested and if you listen to him, he will teach you how to get and to keep a great job.
Good. Miss Priscilla?
I agree. Just kidding.
Good.
Well,
That's
just
our
like
favorite
yeah.
thing to say.
I mean, your first job most likely is not going to be what you're going to do forever. So it's not going to be something that you necessarily like, this is my life's calling. So relax. It's chill. It's going to be fine, you know. So even if you are miserable for a couple of years, you know, it's going to teach you something. You're going to be able to pay for college, school, or something. So just hang in there.
And I would just say, if you get a job, take it. Don't.
Right.
Well, maybe if I
Don't
get
let
a
it
better
pass by.
one that pays $1 more an hour, just take the job offer you got. Just
Yeah.
you'll climb the. Just take it. Don't turn it down.
Yeah, here's my advice. You want to get a job, volunteer. Not at the job you want, but what everybody is looking for is experience. So what does a 16-year-old have? Not experience.
Yeah. So
But you have
annoying.
time. So you have to volunteer. What I mean is, hey, I want to learn about, cutting grass. Can I go with you to cut grass with you so I can learn a little bit? Hey, if your dad is in construction, hey, Dad, in the summer, do you think I can go with you to see how you do that concrete or whatever, or how you do that wood? And what you want is to say that you have experience. Obviously, working at church, that's experience. So, for example, if you wanted to work with cameras and live stream, and you do it every week, you can go to a production firm, and say, I have experience with live broadcasts.
That's cool.
Right? So the same thing happened to you, right? You were volunteering here at the church, right, serving, and then they're like, oh, you have experience with kids. I sure do. How many years? 4 every week for 3 hours a week. So they're like, oh, at least she knows how to treat kids. At least he knows how to frame a shot. At least he knows how to, whatever, cut grass. And that will give you in to something that you want to do, usually. So,
Connections.
yeah, it is that you don't really want to get paid. What you really want is experience. And
Come on, we do want to get.
yeah, you want to get experience. Yeah, but in order to find your first job, the only thing you want is experience, right? So, church, maybe your neighbor, maybe your dad, maybe somebody that does that.
Put down your phone and go to hymns.
Yeah, go do something.
My niece volunteers, like an example, she volunteers at my mom's salon. Like she does. Sometimes she'll run the cash register and stuff. So her resume is looking pretty good.
Good
right
job,
now.
Of
Giselle.
course, yeah. I mean, you can fluff stuff up all the time. Like I volunteer handling thousands of dollars daily. I'm like her.
You make it sound like
Yeah.
it's hard work.
I handle thousands of dollars as a cashier. Anyways, so that's my advice. Anyways, that's all we have for having a job. Yeah. If you ever want to volunteer and I get experience at my house, let me know.
Cutting your grass.
The weeds.
I got plenty of
dishes.
experience for you to have.
Building character.
Building character. I mean, I can build you. Anyways, character is my thing. Here we go. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, guys.
Hey, sign off. Sign off.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't know. You do the sign off
No,
now.
you do it so much better.
Okay. What did we say?
Like, comment.
We said like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share our video.
And comment down below.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.